Well, good evening, Brent and Sarah. Making more prescription drugs here in Connecticut is one of the recommendations from this bipartisan legislative task force. Another, holding the middleman that negotiates drug prices between the manufacturers and insurance companies accountable. Those folks are called pharmaceutical benefit managers, and a recent investigation by the Federal Trade Commission showed these companies sometimes raise prescription drug prices by as much as 1,000%. But legislators say this system of profiting off customers' medical needs is not right and not sustainable. They said many families can't afford to keep up with the climbing cost of medicine, and some are cutting back on other essentials as a result. Here is part of what the task force had to say earlier today about making the process in general more transparent.
How do we align PBMs so that they're working for us and not just for their own shareholders? There's nothing wrong with maximizing return, but what we really need is to make sure that they're working for us. And that's why we put the fiduciary standard, and that's why we recommended changing their compensation model to focus on supporting the patients and lowering the cost of drugs, which is what they were set up to do in the first instance. And so by sort of aligning the incentives right, we think we can bring down the cost of drugs.
Another way to regulate PBMs, legislators want them to disclose all conflicts of interest. Two bills addressing this topic are up for consideration in Hartford right now. We're talking about House Bill 7192 and Senate Bill 11. We reached out to CVS Caremark, which is one of the biggest pharmaceutical benefit managers in the United States, for reaction to this. A spokesperson just mentioned a quote to us. Here's what they sent us. Any state policy regulating the pharmaceutical supply chain should be evaluated through a simple test. Will this increase or decrease the cost of prescription drugs? Unfortunately, HB 7192 and SB 11 would only increase drug costs for the state of Connecticut, its employers, its unions, and its consumers, while serving as a handout to Big Pharma. Brent, Sarah?